All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into a case that I think will really make you think twice about, those families that seem like perfect.
Yeah.
Those picture perfect families. We're talking about the Armstrong family.
Yeah, I mean, this case really is it's a wild one.
What really brought us a wild one today? This is like ripped from the headlines. This is like something on true crime, podcasts.
Right, absolutely.
But even more twists and turns. So let's just jump right in.
Yeah.
The Armstrong family. So on the surface, this is a family that had everything.
They did. They had it all.
I mean, literally, they had it all. Like the American dream, right?
The American dream.
Antonio Armstrong Sr., former NFL player.
Successful businessman.
Successful businessman, married his high school sweetheart.
Beautiful family.
3 kids. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Model family. Everybody wants to be them, right?
Yeah. Like, how do you even process that? I mean, from the outside looking in, you think, wow, okay, they made it.
Right. And that's part of what makes this case so interesting. Because when you dig below the surface and you start to see sort of what's really going on, you see that, things aren't always what they seem.
Right.
And it's a good reminder kind of for all of us that, that picture-perfect family, that picture-perfect life, that is an image that people project.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily reflect what's actually going on.
Okay, so let's get into it, because you said former NFL player.
Yes.
Antonio Armstrong Sr.
Yes.
So tell us about, like, his career, his NFL career.
Yeah, so he was actually, had a cup of coffee in the NFL, I believe, with the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
But his real success was in the Canadian Football League.
Okay.
And, he had a great career there. And then he came back. And he and Dawn, they were both really involved in their community. They had this really successful gym, first-class training, where they trained a lot of, like, high-level athletes. And, they really just seemed to be very dedicated to their kids.
Okay.
Very involved.
So 3 kids, right.
3 kids.
So you've got, break it down for us. Who are the kids in this family?
So you have Josh, who was actually Dawn's son from a previous relationship.
Okay.
He was away at college at the time.
Got it.
Then you have AJ,
Okay.
who's 16 at the time, and he's really at the center of all of this.
16.
And then you have Kara, AJ's younger sister, who's 12.
Okay. So we have kind of this perfect family, right? Like seemingly perfect family, very successful, very close, involved in the community.
Right.
And then July 28th, 2016.
It all changes.
It all changes. A Thursday?
Just a normal Thursday. They're going about their day.
So it's just a normal day. It seems like families going about their business. They have their, evening routine.
Yeah, they do their thing. It's, Kara sets the alarm that night, which, and this is important to note, this is not just any alarm system. This is like top of the line.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be impenetrable.
Okay.
Like really, really high tech.
So it's a very secure home.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It sounds like.
This is not is not like some rinky-dink system.
You're right.
This is supposed to be the best of the best.
Okay, got it. Okay, so they set the alarm, and what happens? Everybody goes to bed.
Everybody goes to bed. Things are quiet. You can imagine AJ's up in his room, probably, texting his girlfriend or whatever, typical teenager stuff. Dawn and Antonio are asleep in their room. And then 1:04 in the morning, the phone rings. It's a 911 call. And it wasn't, your typical frantic, oh my God, help, help kind of call.
Right.
It's what was really strange about this call was like how calm AJ sounded. Yeah, he's telling the dispatcher like that he heard gunshots. He even mentions like this ringing in his ears, but something about his demeanor, his tone of voice just felt kind of off.
Oh, how?
Like, imagine this. The dispatcher on the other end of the line is hearing about a potential double homicide.
Right.
They're expecting to hear, panic, fear. But AJ is surprisingly calm. Almost like it's almost like he's, ordering a pizza or something.
Wow.
It was just it was really strange, and it immediately raised red flags for investigators.
Right. I mean, you would expect like someone to be totally freaking out.
Exactly.
Not like calmly reporting gunshots.
Right.
So, okay, so the police, they arrive at the house.
Yeah.
What do they find?
Well, here's the thing. This is where it gets really strange.
Right.
The house itself, like the physical space, completely undisturbed. No signs of forced entry, no broken windows. All the doors were locked. And remember that Fort Knox level alarm system?
Yeah.
Never went off, not a peep.
So if no one broke in and the alarm didn't go off, Does that mean that it came from inside the house?
Well, that's what it was starting to look like.
Oh.
And to make matters worse, they find the murder weapon
Oh, okay.
right there in the kitchen.
What?
Antonio Sr.'s own gun.
No way. So this is like, it gets even more complicated.
Okay, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
Hold on to your hats because it gets wilder.
Okay.
They also found a note. Someone using the family notepad had scribbled, "I've been watching you for some time. Get me."
Are you serious? On the note, come on, this is like, it's like the killer wanted to be caught, or like they wanted to like mislead the police or something.
Exactly. It felt very deliberately staged, like an amateur attempt at misdirection. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if that wasn't enough, there was another detail. They found a burn mark on the carpet.
What?
Yeah, like someone had tried to start a fire, but then maybe change their mind.
Like, what was going on? Okay, so we have a house that's like seemingly impenetrable from the outside.
Right.
We have a murder weapon that belongs to the victim.
Yes.
We have this crazy note. We have a burn mark. And we have a 911 call from a teenager that sounds like he's ordering a pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, where do they even begin with this?
Well, they begin with AJ, of course.
Okay.
He's the one who made the 911 call. And with that alarm system confirming that no one came in or out of the house,
Right.
it initially seemed like he was the only one who could have done it.
So it's like, it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck.
Right. Exactly. But remember, things are not always as they appear, especially in a case like this.
Okay.
Because here's where it gets really interesting. The deeper investigators dug into this case,
Yeah.
the more they started to find cracks in this seemingly open and shut case.
Cracks. Okay, hold on. You gotta tell us more.
Oh, we will.
Okay, so you were talking about like some cracks in the case.
Yeah. You see, when they really started looking into it,
Yeah.
there was zero physical evidence.
What?
Yeah, no gunpowder residue on his hands, on his clothes.
Right.
No blood, no signs of a cleanup,
Mm-hmm.
nothing. It was other than that 911 call, it was like he was a ghost.
So there was literally no physical evidence connecting him to the crime scene?
It was really, really thin.
Wow, that's a pretty big hole in their case. I mean, what did they have?
Well, so they basically were basing their whole case around the alarm system data
Okay.
because it put him at the house
yeah.
right at the time.
Yeah.
But the defense, they really went after that alarm system data, and they actually, I think, pretty convincingly showed that it was not as reliable as the prosecution was making it out to be.
Okay, so how did they do that? How do you discredit an alarm system like that?
Well, remember how I said it was top of the line, supposed to be impenetrable?
Yeah, Fort Knox.
Yeah, where it turns out there was a history of malfunctions.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there were inconsistencies in the data logs. There were gaps in the timeline. Even Kara, the younger sister, admitted that the system was a little wonky sometimes. Sometimes it wouldn't arm properly, things like that.
For their star witness, the alarm system wasn't so reliable after all.
Yeah, it kind of cast a big shadow of doubt on their whole case.
And so, but on top of that, you said that there were inconsistencies with his story?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, you remember they found that bullet hole in the ceiling of the parents' bedroom.
Yeah, what about it?
Okay, and it appeared that it had come from AJ's room, right?
Right.
Well, he claimed that, oh yeah, weeks earlier he had been messing around, he was showing off for a friend, and he had fired the gun in his room.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
The bullet hole, it looked too fresh.
Oh.
And the debris around it wasn't it hadn't settled. So it was pretty clear that it had been fired much more recently than that.
So either his memory was seriously flawed or he was lying about something.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so I mean this is a lot to unpack, but okay, so if he didn't do it,
Right.
who did?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And that's what makes this case so intriguing.
Yeah.
Because there are a couple alternative theories.
Okay, like what?
So first, there was this woman, Maxine Adams, a friend of the family.
Okay.
She came forward, and she made this claim that Antonio Sr., he wasn't exactly who everybody thought he was.
What do you mean?
She claimed that he was involved in some shady business dealings,
Oh.
maybe even a prostitution ring.
What? Get out of here.
Yeah, and that he'd received death threats.
So you're saying he might have had some enemies.
That's what she was saying, that this perfect family man, was potentially living this whole other life.
Wow. Okay, that's a twist.
Right.
Okay, so we have a potential secret life.
Yes.
Okay, and then what's the second theory?
This one's even more perplexing, and it involves Josh,
Josh, the half-brother.
The half-brother, yes. So after the murders, Josh was diagnosed with schizophrenia,
Okay.
and he started having these like really vivid hallucinations
Mm.
where he claimed that he had witnessed the murders.
Are you serious? So you're saying, what, like he might have been involved?
Well, it's impossible to say for sure,
Right.
but, obviously his mental state at the time, the timing of his diagnosis, it added this whole other layer of complexity to
Wow.
this already like tangled web.
Okay, so this case, I mean, it's just every time we think we're getting somewhere, it gets more complicated.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened with the trials?
Well, there were two trials.
Two.
Two trials, and get this. Both of them ended in hung juries.
Are you serious? Two hung
They
jury.
could not agree on a verdict.
What was it about this case? Why couldn't they agree?
Well, so much of the evidence was circumstantial, right?
Okay.
And open to interpretation. So the prosecution, they really hammered home the alarm system data.
Okay.
They pointed to his demeanor on that 911 call.
Right.
And they also brought up these text messages between AG and his parents where they had accused him of lying. And just like being irresponsible. So they were trying to paint this picture of this like strained relationship.
Okay, so like a motive. Like he had a reason to.
Exactly. There was tension there.
Got it. And so, but the defense then was saying, what?
Well, they attacked, the alarm system. We talked about that.
Hmm.
They also really emphasized the lack of physical evidence.
Right.
And they brought up, Josh and the possibility that maybe he had something to do with it. They even presented his medical records and stuff.
Wow.
So, both sides had compelling arguments.
Right. It's no wonder it was a hung jury.
Exactly.
I mean, this is incredible. So it's one of those cases where, I mean, it really makes you think, like,
It does.
what is truth? What really happened?
And we may never know.
Right.
We may never know the full story of what happened in that house that night.
Yeah, it reminds you that even with, all the technology and all the evidence and everything, sometimes you can't get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's a mystery.
It really is.
And it makes you think about, not just this case, but all the other cases out there.
Right, all the other family.
Where, we don't have answers.
The things that go on behind closed doors that we may never know.
Exactly. It's a chilling thought.
It really is. Well, there you have it.
Another mystery.
Another mystery, the case of Antonio Armstrong Jr.
Unsolved.
Unsolved. I mean, will it ever be solved? I don't know, but, it's one of those ones that sticks with you.
Oh, absolutely. Makes you think.
It really does. And, maybe that's why we do this, because we want to, like, understand these things that are hard to understand.
I want to make sense of the senseless.
Exactly. Well said. Well said.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, that's it for today. We're gonna leave you with that, folks. And, until next time, keep asking questions, keep digging, because you never know what you might find.